Hello all. In the last lecture, we have learned about exponential gauge, that means E-gauge. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about GJR gauge, and that is also a asymmetric model. We have learned that in the previous model that E-gauge was invented in 1991 by Nelson. So there are certain shortcomings in that model. So that's why this new model named as GJR gauge model was invented in 1993. So we have already learned one of the model of asymmetric volatility. Now I think the meaning of asymmetric volatility and symmetric volatility is cleared, and all those who are seeing this video for the first time, so I kindly request you to please go through the previous videos where I have already explained about the symmetric model and asymmetric model. So this model was invented by three persons. First was Galston, Jagannath and Runkel. And on the name of these three persons, the name is given by GJR gauge model. So this model, now the question arises why this model is invented. So if you will remember that E-gauge model is based on natural logarithms. So this model has an advantage over that E-gauge model, that with the help of this model, you can directly use this model, or you can say that GJR gauge has an advantage with the model is that the variance is directly modeled. You don't have to take log, you can directly model this. So we can say that this means that GJR gauge is simpler and simpler to implement in practice. Now studies that have applied several gauge models have deemed that GJR gauge is the most sufficient in forecasting the volatility and variance in risk estimates. Now this is the equation for GJR gauge model. So this model helps us to compute the asymmetric between the good news and bad news, or you can say the negative and the positive shocks. So you can see over here in this we are not taking the natural log. So the equation for, or you can say the model that is being created by the GJR gauge is your variance forecasted for the today's time period will be equals to omega plus alpha 1 and square of error term of the previous lag. And alpha 2 over here, either you can write alpha 2 or it's the gamma. So it's a gamma it minus 1 square of error term at the previous lag. Next is beta, variance of forecasted at lag 1. So let's see what are all this explains to us. So your variance at time t is a conditional forecast variance in today's state. Omega is the intercept for the variance. Alpha 1, your error term square at lag 1 is a variance that depends on previous lag of error term. So that means here the n represents your error term. Either you can write n or you can write et. Alpha 2 is a scale of asymmetric volatility. So you can write either alpha 2 or you can write gamma. it minus 1 is a dummy variable. That means we are just putting this dummy variable. And beta, as we all know that beta is a coefficient of yesterday's forecasted variance, or even we can say that beta is your gauge term and alpha is your arch term. And alpha 2 or you gamma is your asymmetric volatility, or it gives you the leverage effect. And the last, which is your variance at lag 1, gives you the yesterday's forecasted variance. So as we have discussed that it minus 1 is a dummy variable, and you have to remember then this it minus 1 is only activated if we have the negative shocks in the previous time period. So that means your error term at lag 1 should be less than 0. It should be having the negative impact. So allowing the GJR gauge to take the advantage of the leverage effect which is to be considered. So now if your error term in the previous time period is negative, we will take this dummy variable as 1, and if it is positive, we will take it as 0. In simple words, we can say that if there is a bad news in the lag 1 in the previous time period, it will be 1, and if it is a positive, it will be 0. So we have to consider to be the less than 0. Now, Next thing that you have to remember, if your alpha 2, which is your gamma, is equals to 0, that means there is no leverage effect. It is not an asymmetric model. This is an symmetric model. So if it is a symmetric model, so we will not apply, we can say that GJR-Garch model cannot be applied. You can simply go for the standard Garch model. Now the negative shocks is captured by your alpha plus gamma, or you can say in this equation instead of gamma I have taken alpha 2, so alpha 1 plus alpha 2. And whenever there is a positive shocks, that will be captured by your alpha 1. So in simple words, we can say that if the bad news are there, that will be captured by alpha plus gamma. And if good news are there, that means positive shocks are there, that will be captured by your alpha. Now the signs of leverage effect is just opposite as we have learned in the E-Garch model. So as we have discussed that if your gamma is 0, that means we name it as a symmetric model, it's not an asymmetric model. And if your gamma, or you can say alpha 2, is greater than 0, then we can say that negative shocks will increase the volatility more than the positive shocks. But when we were doing the E-Garch model, we have learned that when the gamma is greater than 0, in that case positive shocks will increase the volatility more than the negative shocks. So it's just an opposite of the E-Garch model. And when the gamma is negative, we can say that positive shocks increases the volatility more than the negative shocks. But there are some parameters that you have to remember while doing the GJR-Garch, and that are same as for standard Garch. That means your omega, alpha, beta and gamma should be positive. It can be equals to 0 or it can be more than 0. And whenever we are calculating the persistence in the volatility, it will be equals to your alpha plus beta plus gamma divided by 2. It should be less than 1. So let's understand how to create the GJR model with the help of RStudio. Now this is my RStudio. So let me import the file. So I'll import the file. So now I have imported the file. So let's attach the file. So I'll write the command attach and the file name is SharePrice. So now my file is attached and this is my file. I'll be working on this model BVSP. So first of all, let me convert it into the stationary, because we have already learned the preconditions for applying the Garch model. So first of all, the first condition is that your data should be stationary. So if I am converting my data into stationary, so my command will be diff log and then BVSP. Now I have converted my data into the stationary, so I'll be working on this file. So as we have already discussed the precondition that there should be the volatility clustering, there should be the arch effect. And if you find that these two things are there, we can move to the third part. That means we can see the leverage effect in the form of Garch model. We can create the Garch model. So now I am directly creating the Garch model. I have already discussed about the volatility clustering and arch effect in the previous lectures. So let me fit the Garch model over here. So for fitting the Garch model, let's just give the command. So I am writing rbvsp underscore GJR Garch is equals to, I am giving the command. Before that, you have to library the various packages. I have already library it. So let's library it again. So you have to library RuGarch package. So just library the RuGarch package and now you can give the command. So I am giving the command rbvsp underscore GJR Garch is equals to ugarch specification. So ugarch spec. Now, as we have already discussed that Garch is a variance model, so I am writing variance.model. And now I'll give the command that which variance model I am using. So I am listing it. So I am choosing the model is equals to GJR Garch. Now after choosing the model, I'll give the command that which Garch order I am going to take. So my Garch order is equals to C11. After that we have taken this, we are going to choose the mean model. We have already discussed that since Garch is a variance model and we are able to get the variance from the mean only. So that's why we need the mean model. So mean dot model will be equals to, now I have to list it. So I'll write ARMA order is equals to C11. Now you can see I have stored my command in rbvsp underscore ggr Garch. Now let me fit this model. So again I'm going to give the command rbvsp underscore ggr Garch underscore fit. Now this will be equals to, my command will be ugarch fit. Now I'll be writing the model. Since I have stored my command in rbvsp underscore ggr Garch, so I'll write this and I'll give the command that use the data, use the file. So I'm working on file rbvsp, so I'm giving the command, so use the data which is stored in the file rbvsp. Now my model is ready to be fitted. So I'll just write rbvsp underscore ggr Garch underscore fit and then press enter. Now this is the output of the model. Now we have to read these parameters. We have to make the equation, or we have to forecast the volatility with the help of these estimates. Now if you will see over here, your mu, that means your mean term, is significant. Your AR1 is negative, but that is not significant. As well as your MA term is also not significant. So we can drop these two terms. Now if you are going to see your omega, alpha 1, beta 1 and gamma 1, all terms are significant since the value of all the p-value are less than 5% level of significance. Now if you will see the alpha term means that whatever news are there in the market, maybe the good news or maybe the bad news, all the news are being captured in the volatility. So this alpha term always talks about the short term volatility. So this is your arch term. Now beta term. Now if the beta is significant, it means that there is a persistence in volatility. It means that in the long run, there will be the persistence in the volatility. Now in GGR Garch model, if I have to check the persistence, that what is the persistence level. So to check the persistence, my formula will be alpha plus beta plus gamma, and you have to divide gamma by 2, and all these terms should be less than 1. Now let's see, in our model the alpha term is 0.041366 plus your beta term is 0.83803 and plus your gamma, which gamma term is divided by 2, so gamma term is 0.112891. If you are going to divide it by 2, it will be 0.056445, and now if you are going to add all these terms, it will come out to be 0.93581, and which is less than 1. So I can say that there is a persistent in my model. Now for the leverage effect, we look at the sign and magnitude and significance of gamma. So now if you are going to look at the sign of the gamma in this model, that is positive. And if you are going to see the p-value, which is less than 0.05, so it shows that my gamma is also significant and there is a leverage effect. So since my gamma in this model is positive, so I can say that the negative shocks will increase the volatility more than the positive shocks. So now this is how we have to read the model. And now if we have to forecast, or now before forecasting, let's see how to make the plots. So now suppose I have to make all the plots. So I'll write the command plot. Now in bracket, I'll give the instruction for which model I have to create the plot. So my model is RBVSP underscore GJR underscore fit. Now there are various graphs. So whether I want to make the impact curve graph, whether I want to make your histogram, I want to see your arch or your ACF curve. So what I'll do, I'll make all the graphs. So I'll give the command which equals to all. I want to see all the graphs. Now you can see that over here the error is saying that the figure margin is too large. It means that diagrams are so large that it cannot be fitted within this column, because you all know that the plots are shown over this fourth window. So now what I am going to do, I am going to expand it. Now once I have expanded it, now again I am going to write the command. Now you can see all the graphs are being created over here. So whenever you see this command that figure margin is too large, so just have to scroll up, or you can say you have to just increase this column. So let's move to the next part. Now once we have created the plots, now the next part is to forecast. So let's see how to forecast the values. So for that, if you have to forecast the future values, the command will be, so let me store the future values in the variable z. So I'll write z is equals to ugarch forecast, and then I have to give the model name. So model name is RBVSP underscore GGR garch underscore fit, and now I'll give the command for how many values I need the future value, future volatility. So I am giving the command n.ahead is equals to, let's say, 10. So I want the future 10 values. Now just write z and then enter. Now you can see over here that the future values of volatility are there. This is a series, and now this sigma will represent your risk factor, that these are the risk factor which is associated with this series. So in this way you can forecast the volatility also. Now if you want to fit the value of this Garch model, so you just have to give the command. Let's say I give the variable y is equals to fitted, and then you have to write your model. My model is your RBVSP underscore GGR Garch underscore fit. So now my value is stored. You just write y and then enter. Or if you want to calculate the sigma, conditional sigma of the Garch model, so you can store the value in p. You can just write sigma and then your model. So RBVSP underscore GGR Garch underscore fit. So this is all about the GGR Garch model, how we are going to fit that model, how we are going to make the plots, or how we are going to forecast the volatility of the future days. Hope you have understood the concept. Thank you.